Richard Mason had always believed in the life he had built. A successful businessman, a millionaire, and most importantly, a proud father of 3 sons. He had spent decades working hard, providing for his family and believing that no matter what happened, he had his boys. But in 2016, everything changed. A simple doctor's visit turned his world upside down, revealing a truth so shocking it made him question everything: his marriage, his past, and even his own identity as a father. What Richard discovered would unravel decades of secrets, exposing a betrayal so deep it shattered the foundation of his life. Richard was 55 years old when he received the devastating news. As the co-founder of the British price comparison website moneysupermarket.com, he had built a successful career and lived a comfortable life. Despite divorcing his wife Kate in 2008, he remained a devoted father to his 3 sons, Will, who was 23, and the twins, Ed and Joel, who were 19. Even after their divorce, Richard had continued to support his children. His divorce settlement had awarded Kate a lump sum of $5 million, and he had agreed to pay for the boys' private school fees and other expenses. He never questioned his role as their father. But on an otherwise ordinary day in 2016, his life took an unexpected turn. Richard had gone in for a routine medical checkup, expecting nothing more than the usual tests and reassurances. Instead, the doctor delivered news that would change everything. "You have cystic fibrosis," the doctor said. Richard was surprised. He knew it was a serious condition, but he had never experienced major health issues. The doctor explained that while the disease primarily affects the lungs, there was something even more significant about his diagnosis. Men with cystic fibrosis, the doctor said, are almost always infertile. The words hit Richard like a ton of bricks. Infertile? That couldn't be right. He had 3 sons. There had to be a mistake. "You must have the wrong diagnosis," Richard said, refusing to believe it. "I have children." But the doctor shook his head. "I'm sorry, Richard. The science is clear." For a moment, time seemed to stop. Richard's mind raced. His sons. The boys he had raised, loved, and provided for. Could they not be his? The thought was unbearable. In the days that followed, Richard was consumed with doubt. He tried to make sense of what he had just learned, replaying moments from his past, searching for clues. He and Kate had met while working together in the 1980s, and their marriage had lasted nearly 20 years. By 2007, their relationship had begun to fall apart, leading to their divorce the following year. But even as their love faded, Richard had always believed his role as a father was unshakable. Now that belief was in question. Certain memories took on a new, painful significance. Kate had suddenly developed an interest in Judaism during their marriage. Despite both of them being raised Christian, she had insisted on giving their children Jewish middle names and had even sought advice from a rabbi. At the time, Richard had dismissed it as a harmless personal journey. Now, he wondered if it had been something else entirely. There were other signs, too. Kate's frequent work trips as a union official often took her to London, where she stayed in hotels. Richard, busy with his own career, had never doubted her. He had never even considered the possibility of an affair. Even their son's appearances now seemed like a clue he had ignored for years. None of them resembled him. Friends and family had made comments, but Richard had always brushed them off, proudly saying, "They look like Kate." Now he wasn't so sure. He needed answers. Richard decided to confront Kate directly. He sent her a message that cut straight to the point. "I went to the Liverpool Chest Hospital today and received a diagnosis of cystic fibrosis," he wrote. "The doctors told me it is 98% certain that I am infertile. Can you explain this?" Kate's response was quick but dismissive. "Of course the boys are yours," she replied. But Richard wasn't satisfied. He pressed further. "I was hoping you could relieve me of the indignity of further tests by telling me the truth now," he wrote. "But if you force me to proceed, I will be telling the boys as I see fit." Kate's silence spoke louder than any words. Realizing he wouldn't get the truth from her, Richard turned to his eldest son, Will. When Richard told Will about his diagnosis and the implications, his son's reaction was calm but heartbreaking. "I'm already ahead of you, Dad," Will said. "You're saying you're probably not my biological father." Richard's heart shattered. "Of course, I'm still your dad," he reassured Will. But the pain of the revelation was unbearable. Still, he needed proof. Determined to uncover the full truth, Richard sought the help of paternity fraud expert Roger Terrell. DNA tests confirmed his worst fears. The twins, Ed and Joel, were not his biological children. Will refused to take a DNA test, but the evidence was already overwhelming. When Richard confronted Kate again, she finally confessed. She had been having an affair during their marriage. The man she had been seeing worked at Barclays Bank, a man Richard had met once without realizing his significance. She admitted that she and this man had met in hotels during her work trips, and that he was the biological father of the boys. But even after her confession, Kate refused to reveal his identity. Despite everything, Richard's love for his sons never changed. Ed and Joel reassured him that he would always be their father. One of them even wrote him a heartfelt message. "Dad, as I've explained from the beginning, you will always be my dad. Of course, I'll stay in touch. That will never change. Love you." Will, too, stood by him, refusing to take a DNA test but telling Richard, "As far as I'm concerned, you're my dad, and that's that." Their words were the only comfort in an otherwise devastating reality. In December 2016, Richard decided to take legal action. He filed a paternity fraud case against Kate, demanding compensation for the years he had financially supported children who weren't biologically his. The court ruled in his favor, awarding him over $300,000 in damages. However, Kate negotiated one condition for the settlement. The biological father's identity would remain anonymous. For Richard, the legal victory felt hollow. "I'm still the same person I was before," he said, "but my life feels like it was built on a lie." Even now, he believes the real father should come forward. For their sake, he should step up. They deserve to know the truth. Richard's story is a painful reminder that fatherhood is about more than biology. Despite experiencing one of the worst betrayals imaginable, his love for his sons remained unshaken. "You can't change the past," he says, "but you can decide what kind of future you want to have." And for him, that future means always being a father, no matter what.